Good morning, my name is Matt Sullivan. I'm the Director of Planning and Development, joining you for what is now the January Coffee and Connections. A Happy New Year to everybody out there in the town of Wolfeboro. This month we're going to be walking through the town's online GIS viewer. I'm going to sort of walk through what the tools are that are available to you for your property, what tools are available for assessing purposes, and I think this is a really great tool to find out about different features within the town of Wolfeboro. So I'm going to walk you through all of our tools that are available to us, and I'm going to start with sort of walking us through how to get to the town's online GIS viewer. So the first place you want to start is by navigating to wolfeboronh.us. You should be able to get there by either typing that address into your search bar or by Googling Town of Wolfeboro, and it should be the first result that's available to you. Again, that's wolfeboronh.us. Once you're there, you're going to be looking at this page that we're at right here. We have our sort of updates over here on the right-hand side, and then on the left-hand side we have a list of tiled tools that are available to folks who are using our website. Now, what we're going to be using today is up in the upper right-hand corner here is this online tax GIS maps. This is our online GIS viewer, which is also a tax assessment feature as well. So let's go ahead and click on that. Once you click on that, it should open a new tab. So the Town of Wolfeboro page should still be open in your browser, but you'll have this new tab, and this is the GIS viewer. There are a lot of features available to us here, but I'm going to start by moving to the left-hand side of the screen, right below the Town of Wolfeboro logo, where it says Contact. So there are three primary options here. There's a search feature, an abutter feature, and a layers feature. I'm going to start by just doing a property search to show you how that works, and I'll also talk a little bit about what sorts of searches are available to us. So what we're going to do here is we're actually going to start. There are three options. There's a parcel number, there's an owner option or an address option. So parcel number is probably going to be the most challenging unless you happen to know the parcel that you're looking for. This is kind of tricky to use. I'm going to actually start with one that I know off the top of my head, and that's 190. We use three identifiers, so 190-020. And you'll see that as I do this, we actually get options that are sort of live popping up on the left-hand side there. It turns out when I type in this option, only one property comes up, and that's Pine Hill Road Storage, just as an example here. So you have a result, but obviously the map hasn't changed on the right-hand side. So if I want to look at this property, I can do one of a few things. But the easiest way to do this is actually just go ahead and click on it, and you'll see that my map zooms immediately to this property. And a couple things happen. We zoom to the property, we are presented with an aerial view of the property without any imagery, what we call sort of a photo view. It's really just a view of the buildings that are on the property. And also I get this nice pop-up window that typically will feature a photo of the property. In this case, we're looking at commercial property, so there are no photos available. But that's usually what will pop up here, and we'll look at one of those in just a few seconds here. But additionally, we have lots of information available to us in this little pop-up. We have a few building photos. So if I click on those building photos, you'll see we actually get images of the buildings on the property. These are images taken as part of our assessing process. And there are 4 of them available in this case. So you can click on those, and your window should stay open as you cycle through this information. Additionally, you'll see that we have property cards available to us, and this is where you're really going to find the bulk of the information about a property. So as you click on this property card, it'll open a separate window, and if we give it just a second here, hopefully we'll pop up our property card, but I'm just going to go back here real quick. If the property cards don't load quickly, there's also an assessment tab here, and in this assessment tab you're going to get a lot of the same information that's going to be in the tax card. So you're going to get what the property address is, what the owner name is, if there's a co-owner, the owner's address and contact information, the parcel number, again, so parcel ID. This is a lot of technical information that the planning and assessing office uses. How many cards are associated with the property, the land use designation for assessing purposes, how large the acreage is of the property. One thing I would point out, and we'll get to this in a few minutes, the zoning information that's reflected on property tax cards tends to not be accurate. This tends to be sort of historic information and hasn't been updated, so I'll talk to you in just a few minutes about how to get the updated zoning information. But we do have that land use data presented there. how many bedrooms, bathrooms, what year the property was built. Again, because we're not looking at a residential structure here, we don't have this information available to us. What the most recent date of sale was, what the associated deed reference is to the Carroll County Registry of Deeds, the prior owner of the property, and the value of the property, which is what a lot of folks will be interested in seeing. And again, this mirrors really well with the real tax card, and that's what I had clicked on a few minutes ago. This is the real tax card. A little challenging to see here, obviously, but you have the ability to print from this window as it's shown here. You can just go to your print option right up on the right-hand corner there. But this has all the same information that we just saw in the assessing card, with also some details about what assessing changes have happened, which are presented right here in the middle. So that's the tax card. And again, the idea being here that you can access these tax cards right through our GIS viewer. So I've looked at one property, but let's say that in this case I actually want to look at an abutting property. I'm actually interested in this, actually 19022, not the 19020 that's highlighted. So I actually have this identify tool up in the upper right hand corner there. I can click on that identify tool and you'll see it gets a yellow highlight, and I can click on another property and you'll see that I get the same pop-up that you saw just a few minutes ago. In this case, because this is a residential structure, we actually get a nice picture right away. But same options are available to us here. We can click on the property card. The assessment information is available to us. And again, same feature. We get the tax card pop up if we click on that property card, and you can print right from there. And again, that identify tool is probably the most commonly used tool on our GIS viewer. We use it a lot in our planning office just to get information about properties that are abutting a specific project, or just to get information about general properties across town. So we started off in this search tool. I'm just going to show you the other ways you can search. In this case, you can, for example, we can search for the town of Wolfeboro, and what I would call this an ownership search, and you'll see that once I do that, all of the properties associated with the town of Wolfeboro pop up. And these are all owner, this is all by owner, so you can see that we own about 80 properties, I believe, across the town, many of which have no buildings on them, so they don't have a picture associated with them. But this is a really nice way to look at owner information. We can also search for, say, Brewster Academy, and you'll see that we get all the parcels associated with Brewster Academy. They pop up, and we can zoom to them just by clicking on them. In this case, this is the larger Brewster parcel, but you can see that when we look at our map, it's also showing blue pins for the other results that we have in this sidebar here. Those are also Brewster Academy-owned properties. Now, let's go back on the search tool. We also can search by address, of course, so let's put in an address here. We'll do 84 South Main. And we get a couple results. We get 84 South Main Street. We also get 184 South Main Street and 384 South Main Street. In this case, I'm interested in 84 South Main Street, which is the town hall. I click on it. I get a nice picture. I zoom to the parcel, and I get a really nice view of town hall. This is actually an older picture before town hall was renovated, so hopefully we can get that updated at some point. I'm going to show you a few other tools now beyond just the search tool, which we've covered. So when you're looking at a parcel, in this example we're looking at town hall, we can do a whole lot of things that may be useful to you as a property owner. Let's say, for example, that I actually want to see what this building looks like from above, so I'm not really happy with just seeing this general outline. I'm actually going to go up to these 4 tiles right here, what's called Switch Base Map / Streets. I'm going to click on that, and I get a drop-down. In this drop-down are a whole bunch of different ways to view a property from above that will present you with different information. So in this case, the one that I use most frequently is regular aerial imagery. So I click on that, and I am switched to an overhead view of the parcel that I'm looking at. In this case, you can see it's pretty granular, a little tough to see. You can see the general parking space configuration, though. And in some cases, you'll see the imagery is a little more clear, and that's because this imagery is being taken from a different place, whether it be Bing Maps or Google Earth. It varies based on what we're looking at. So one thing I would suggest is that you actually switch over to this local tab here in the imagery, and I tend to use this 2015 statewide aerial. This is actually a more local data set that's produced right here in the state of New Hampshire by New Hampshire Granite. And if we click on that, my hope is that we'll get a little clearer picture, and you can see right there it clears right up. It's a little more white balance to it, but the images tend to be a whole heck of a lot more clear, so if we're looking for detailed information on the ground, this is one of the places that we'll go. And again, you just navigate to that by going to Local, and then 2015 Statewide Aerial. There are a few other options that you can use here. You can choose a topographic map. This tends to not be too helpful at this sort of scale. We actually have to sort of zoom out, and I should mention that the zoom tools are right here on the right hand side. There's a plus and a minus. Zooming out, you want to use this minus, and you'll see that the topo map really isn't too helpful in the town of Wolfeboro because they're using really big contours for every 100 feet. So that's not one that's too helpful to us. But if we switch over to others, these are other maps that might be useful. You have Google Maps, Google Satellite, Google Hybrid, Google Terrain. Lots of options here. One that's sort of interesting to look at is this OpenStreetMap. Shows features like Cape Park down here, also the Brewster Field. You can see Fossfield is shown here, the Wolfeboro Rail Trail. This is a third-party mapping option, but one that I really like when we're trying to sort of look at the community as a whole and identify different green spaces and recreational spaces when we're doing larger comprehensive planning efforts. So this street map one is, or this OpenStreetMap is one that I like to use pretty frequently when I'm doing some mapping. So those are your options within this base map changer. And again, I'm gonna, for the purposes of our session today, I'm going to switch back to this 2015 statewide aerial viewer because I think this is really one of the best ways to look at the community. So, with that in mind, I'm going to go back to our left-hand side here. We've gone through our search tool. We've pretty much done everything that's available within there. And I'm going to go down to our Butters tool. This is one that's used primarily for applications that are coming to the planning board or by the planning department directly. And the reason we do this is, let's say, for example, or the reason we have this is, let's say, for example, we have a project that's happening on the town hall property. We want to notify the abutters to our property that something is going to be happening. So we have to do a couple things. The first thing we have to do is select a feature to measure the abutters from. And the way we do that is we select Add or Remove. And we then are presented with this little plus sign where we have to click on a parcel as our subject parcel. In this case, Town Hall was already selected, so I've just deselected it. But normally, you'll click Add or Remove, and then you just click on the parcel, and it selects it really simply. Then, we have to determine our abutters, and there are a couple ways to do that. For Town Hall purposes, we use 100-foot abutter, so it defaults this 100-foot right here, and you'll see that if I simply just clicked Select, it'll actually draw a 100-foot buffer around the subject parcel and select all of the parcels within 100 feet. It's a really neat tool that makes our jobs really easy, and also sort of makes us very objective when we're identifying abutters. It doesn't make it so we have to hand measure all of the properties within a certain distance. So this is a really great tool. Now, if we're not looking for an application necessarily, and we just want to know, for example, I want to know all the properties within 1,000 feet of where I live. Put in 1,000 feet, click the select button again, and you see we're zoomed out again, and we have a 1,000-foot radius drawn from the town hall parcel. Now, there's a lot of parcels selected here, and let's say I want to quickly get a list of what those parcels are. I can go down here. I have a couple options: abutters report or mailing labels. Mailing labels are specifically if you want to create mailing labels, but the abutters report, if I click on PDF or Excel, if I click on PDF, let's just do that one more time. Give it just 1 second here. You'll see I get a 1,000-foot abutters list report for the subject parcel, which is 84 South Main Street with this mailing address. And I have a whole bunch of abutters, potentially more than 100. But this is a really good way to identify how to contact individuals if we have a project that's going to impact folks within a certain radius of a project. So this abutter tool is really useful to us. And may be useful to you at home if you're just interested in what people live within a certain proximity of your property. So that's the general purpose of our abutters tool. I should also note that if I want to select multiple parcels for this measurement, I can actually pick another parcel, Let's add Brewster Academy. Let's drop this, let's actually up this to 2,500 feet, or 2,500 feet there. And I have two subject parcels now, and you'll see that my radius gets even bigger. So I'm now measuring a 2,500 foot radius for both the Town Hall parcel and the Brewster Academy parcel. So we have a whole bunch of people within 2,500 feet of those two areas. So that's the abutter tool in a nutshell. So let's zoom out again, and one thing I think that's important to know is that there is a clear features option here. Let me just locate that real quick. Let's see here. Let's see. That's a delete. It's sort of the trash can right here. That's going to clear all of the map feature selections and bring us back to default. That might be helpful to you. You can also just refresh the page or go up to the search bar and hit enter. That's another way to sort of clear the map and get back to the default, but the trash button can be really helpful. Let's say that I want to know, we're going to go back to 84 South Main Street. I want to know what zone my parcel is located within. So we actually have this great layers feature over here with many different layers that are available. But I'm going to quickly walk you through what are called our quick maps. So if I want to know the zoning for my property, if I click on this quick maps drop down here, you can see there are 6 options here, or 7 options rather. The bottom map, the zoning map, if I just go ahead and click on that, you'll see that my view changes. And I'm going to get rid of our property identifier here, and all of a sudden I have this sort of orange overview above the town hall. And if I zoom out, you'll see that across the street I have a few more overviews. I have a darker green, a lighter green. These actually represent different zoning districts. And in the view that we're in right now, it's a little tricky to see exactly what those zoning districts actually are. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this zoning map plus sign right over here. You'll see the zoning map is checked on that side. The plus sign will actually give us a drop down with a color coding of what these different zones are. And I can see pretty quickly here that this orange color is actually the Commercial District C1, Central Business District. So that tells me what zone I'm in. I won't be walking through exactly how to look at the zoning today, but we might get to that in a future Coffee and Connections. But this gives me a sense of what zoning district I'm in. If I have a question, and I can call the Planning and Development Office and save some time when it comes to figuring out what I can do with my property. Similarly, as we sort of zoom out, you can see if we zoom out from our town hall parcel, you'll see that we start to see a whole different grouping of colors. We have the darker red, which is the Wolfeboro Falls Limited Business District, the darker red, which is the Bay Street Limited Business District, some different gradients of green representing our residential districts. This is our zoning map, and this is the easiest way to view it. One thing I would say, though, is if you ever have a question about the zoning of your property, I would definitely call the Planning and Development Office to verify this. We have some interesting zoning characteristics that involve the availability of water or sewer, and we always want to verify whether or not your property actually has those services available. So please call our office if you have any questions about your property specifically, but this is a really excellent guide on a more general sense. So let's say I want to look at other features of my property. I'm actually going to go back to my search. I'm going to zoom back into 84 South Main Street. I'm going to go back to my Layers tab here. And I don't want to see the zoning map. I'm interested in what the wetlands are on my property, for example. You'll see we see some change here. Now, I don't see any wetlands on my property, so this isn't really a meaningful map for me, but as I zoom out and I begin to look at the community in a larger sense, you'll see that you start to see these green circles as you see right here. And let's zoom out a little bit more and go to a different section of Wolfeboro. And just as a note, you can pan around by just clicking on the map and dragging it. Very, very simple to do. So as we go towards a little more northern sections of Wolfeboro, you look at the island, there's a little bit of green out here, there's some green in here. We zoom up even farther, a little more north in the town of Wolfeboro, we start to see a little more green. I'm going to zoom in and show you exactly what that looks like. These are actually wetland areas that have been identified as part of the National Wetlands Inventory. Now, I should say that this is, again, just a guide. If we're actually trying to determine wetlands on a property, we have to do site-specific wetland mapping. But if you want to get a sense of whether your property or an area abutting you is generally wet, this is a really good place to start. And again, as I zoom in even more, you can see these lines are drawn. This is a great example, though, where I might want to switch my base map. It's a little tricky to see here, so you know what? I'm going to go back to just a regular street map, and you can see that these wetlands are a little more clear when we look at it this way rather than over the aerial imagery that I was looking at before. So this is another example. Now, I'm not going to go through all of the different map types that we have, but we do have these 7 available to you. They're pretty clear. Let's look at, for example, at conservation land. You can see pretty quickly once we zoom out here. These green parcels, those that are those that are in conservation land. I should also note that, again, by clicking this plus sign, we can see what the color is associated with that feature. Similarly, if we go to, for example, the soil maps, we have a couple options here. We have hydric soils and then all other soil types. If I click on that, our map's going to get very, very busy here. We have a lot of different soil types in town, and you're going to need more technical expertise to determine what exactly these soil types are. But if we turn off all the soil types and go down to our hydric soils, turn that on, we'll start to see we have some hydric soils. These are generally associated with wetlands, but not necessarily. But it'll give you a sense if the soils on your property might be suitable for development or not. Just another feature that's available to you. Generally, those are the features within our sort of theme-based mapping over here on the left-hand side, the Layers tool. This will give you a whole lot of information about your property or the town as a whole. Really excellent for looking at suitability for development or resource protection efforts. This is a really great tool for doing that. Now, I'm going to just quickly go through some of the tools on the right-hand side here to sort of wrap up today. And I'm going to find a subject parcel to look at. And I'm actually going to hit our trash key here to clear all the graphics, and I'm also going to reload the page so that we get a fresh view here. So what I'm first going to do is I'm going to identify a target parcel. I'm going to go back to 84 South Main Street. And I'm going to just close our sidebar here and zoom out a little bit. And for going through this right-hand side of our bar, I'm going to do a couple exercises here. What I'm first going to do is I'm going to walk you through the measurement tool. And for the purposes of this exercise, what I'm going to do is I'm going to determine the distance between downtown, between the Smith River Bridge right here in downtown and Town Hall. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click my measure tool up here. And click that. There are a couple options available to me, and what I'm going to do is this, what looks like a ruler. This is our line measurement, and I'm measuring here in feet. I can measure in miles, kilometers. In Wolfeboro, feet tends to be the best measurement tool, but you could, if you're measuring a very long distance, use miles. So I'm going to start with my feet measurement. And when I do this, I'm going to be presented with that sort of target sign again, and I click to start my measurement. And I can actually click again if I want to do multiple segments. And I can see as I measure along the main street here, and I measure down, I get a couple measurements up in this right-hand corner here. First, I get the total length, and I also get the segment length. And you see I've drawn a little segment here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clear this. I'm actually going to remeasure. So I'm going to draw 2 segments, clicking each time. So our total distance between the sort of the middle of Town Hall and down in the Smith River Bridge is about 830 feet. I've done this in 2 segments, the most recent segment being 425 feet rather, and we can assume therefore that the other segment is about 410 feet in length. This is the best way to do linear measurement if I'm trying to identify how far I am from another house or a lake, something to that effect. This is a really good tool for that, but I'm going to go back and clear this measurement tool. I can also measure this other option here is an area measurement, and that can be handy if I want to measure, for example, the acreage of 84 South Main Street. I'm going to zoom in once more here. I'm going to move 84 South Main Street right to the middle of my screen. I'm actually going to click on the four corners here of this. Click, click, and you'll see it starts to shade me in. I'm going to double click on the last point there, and you can see that right in the corner here it shows about 0.83 acres. Now I should note that our tax map features have a couple of these, some of this information already listed on them. You can see that in the middle of this parcel we have 0.80 acres. I'm going to go ahead and clear this so you can see that. 0.80 acres is already measured, with also the property lines generally measured. I should note that these are not surveyed property lines, so they always would require further verification if you're doing some work on your property or doing any kind of measurement. We have about 260 feet of frontage on School Street, 135 right along Route 28 here, Main Street, and then 260 against the Carpenter School area, and then another 138.47 here. So a lot of this information is presented right on the tax card. But if, for example, I wanted to do another measurement, this acreage measurement tool is really, really great. Another thing I can do is actually do square feet. If I want to, for example, measure the square footage of Town Hall, I can actually sort of go around the building that's shown here. Again, this is not going to be an exact measurement and is based on the building footprints that we have. But we can quickly navigate around it, and we can determine generally the square footage of Town Hall. It's about 7,500 square feet as footprint level. So this is a really handy tool for measuring square footage based on property footprint as well. But I'm going to go ahead and clear that. You also have the ability to actually draw on our maps. You can draw a whole bunch of different things. I'm not going to go through all these today. You can draw a rectangle, for example. You can draw a circle, an arrow, a polygon. We'll do a polygon for now. You can select multiple colors. You can do a different line size. Let's say I want to do a size 4. You'll see I actually start to draw red lines on the map. And the reason for doing that is if you want to potentially add an addition to your house, you could come into our office and explain to us where that addition is going to be just by using this tool, and it'll give us a general sense of what you're trying to do. So you can draw this right on the map. Now, let's say, for example, that I want to come in with this map. I have a couple options. I can, screenshot, which is sort of the old-fashioned way of doing it, or I can potentially use this Print Current Map tool down here, which is really helpful. Click on that. You can say, I want to print the map only, or you can print in various formats. Let's say I want to do an 11 by 17 portrait print. You can adjust the scale. I would suggest sort of just move in with what's presented here. I can say my planned edition. I'm going to label my map that with a subtitle of Wolfeboro, New Hampshire. I want to have a legend on there. I want to do a black and white printer. And I'm going to go ahead and click Print My Map. Just take a second. See your map is being prepared. And then what we want to do is go ahead and click on Print. And we'll get a separate pop-up. You see a nice little map here that's available. It's called My Planned Edition. You can either print this or you can save it however you'd like to save it using your browser. You can save it as a PDF. It'll be dated. And you can actually bring this in to us for discussion. And it'll show the different features being shown on the map right down here in the lower left-hand corner. So that's a really handy feature. I'm going to go back to our map. I'm going to go ahead and clear what we're doing here. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. And I'm going to walk you through the last few tools. And I should note that from the plus sign down to really this pan tool right here, these are just ways to navigate the map, but generally everything can be done using click and drag or the plus and minus zoom in or zoom out. And I should note that if you have a mouse, you can simply use your mouse wheel to zoom in and out as well. The last feature I'm going to show you is the Street View feature, and I should note that not all sections of town have Street View available, but this is really handy for areas that are. So if you click on this road, what looks like sort of a road traveling into the distance, you click on that. Once you move over the map, you're going to get a new tool, and that's sort of a pin drop tool. You can see it here in black. And what I do is I just click anywhere on the map, and it'll take a second, but it'll actually pop up the Google Street View for this location. And you can see that this is a more recent picture than our assessing data, so a little more helpful to us. And you can actually see that it's dated 2018, so this is a very, very recent picture. It has really the same features as normal Google Street View. You can move down the street. Do all of the normal tools. You can move down Union Street past El Centenario here. You can see we have a municipal electric department truck parked there. See all of the same features that you normally would. So this is a really, really handy tool if you just want to see a certain property within the town. You can also click, if available, Bing Street Side. So this is just an alternative view. And you can actually see here that as we go to Bing, we get an older picture. This is actually the town hall under construction. So you have a couple different options to you when you're looking at a property. And I would suggest using the one that seems to be the most recent. Or if you want to go back in time, you're certainly welcome to use this tool for that reason as well. You can make this full screen or a little bit larger. Sort of take up the full picture here. But really the same tools are available to you. But this is a really helpful feature. The last thing I'm going to show you is just remember that we have this available as well. We also have a Bing bird's eye view tool. Now I should note that there are very few sections in town that are available for bird's eye view. I'm going to actually see if we have downtown available to us, and we may not. Yeah, you can see that we don't, but you may just want to check and see if you have bird's eye view available in your area. It'll sort of give you a different perspective on a given property that gives you both a 2D and 3D view of what's going on in that certain section of town. So with all of that, if you have any questions about the GIS viewer, please feel free to call the Planning and Development Office. We're very regular users of this, so hopefully we should be able to guide you in the right direction. But we're always learning about new ways that we could actually improve this tool, and we have a really great consultant that we work with to do that. So please let us know if you'd like to see some functionality added to this. With that, thank you for joining me for the January Coffee and Connections. I'd also like to note that our friends at Wolfeboro Community TV will be posting this video on the YouTube channel available through the town's website and through the Community TV website, so it's available at a later time. I'm Matt Sullivan, the Planning Director for the town of Wolfeboro here at Community TV, and we hope you have a happy New Year. Thank you very much.